Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I'm really excited to be putting on the state officer candidate interest call, along with my other state officers, and we're all the elections committee, so we serve on the board for helping vote and decide candidates for state office. And this year, we're going to have a lot of information packed into this presentation, and it's totally okay if you're just dipping your toes in and seeing if you want to run for state office. Don't feel committed to running for state office after this call. It'll just give you some knowledge and help you decide whether you want to or not. But yeah.
So here's our state management team. These are going to be the main people that if you do become a state officer that you'll be interacting with throughout your term as a state officer. So the first person is Angela Stone, who's the executive director of Washington FBLA. Josephine Reyes, who is our current state officer coach, and then Henry Wilson, who will be the incoming state officer coach next year.
Here's the elections committee. We'll start off with Suzanne.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Suzanne Zhu. I'm from Union High School and I'm your current state president.
Hi everyone, my name is Tegan Bronick. I'm from Ridgeline High School and I am your guys' executive vice president.
I'm Selma Sharma. I'm from North Creek and I'm your state secretary.
I'm Kavya Tile. I'm from Bothell and I'm your industry relations officer.
Hi guys, I'm Nathan Chang. I'm from Five High School and I'm your Puget Sound Region Vice President.
Okay, to go over the agenda for today, we will start by giving some reasons why you should run for state office and why it might be a good fit for you. Then go over the different positions and their responsibilities, then the eligibility and selection process, and we'll then end with going over important upcoming dates and finally go into breakout rooms to answer any position-specific questions you might have. And then at the end of the meeting, we will have a general Q&A session.
There are a lot of reasons to run for state office, but if you do get elected, you'll be responsible for creating powerful member experiences, just like the past state officers have done for you, and you'll be representing Washington FBLA. So hopefully, or you will bring success to FBLA. And it really boosts your career preparation and leadership growth. It's definitely been for me. And if FBLA has been a commitment and priority in your life, this is definitely a great opportunity to showcase that and take it further. And for me, it's been a really great experience being a part of a great team with great people.
Yeah, so in terms of positions and responsibilities, there are elected officers and appointed officers. So if you're not too familiar with how Washington FPLA state office works, elected officers, as listed here, so president, executive vice president, secretary, public relations, the one middle school vice president, and the 8 region vice presidents, these are positions where you interview, you write a written portion, and you also in person at SBLC put on a campaign. So this includes a booth, you have your kind of slogan, and you're trying to sell yourself to people who vote for you. And this is like a big part that appointed officers don't have. So if you're maybe not too big on like getting out there and kind of branding yourself, you can get into the appointed officers, which are industry relations and parliamentarians. So these are all written portion and interview based, but the parliamentarian has a 100-question test for parliamentary procedures that factors into your test score and your ultimate state officer like score that you get. But responsibilities are the same across all 15 state officers. So whether you're elected or appointed, you are expected to attend all the state officer meetings. So we have a couple of retreats. We have one in December, we have one in like August-ish, and this is all in the candidate guide. So please take a look and see if your dates are clear for that because these are must-attend events. You have to adhere to the state officer handbook, code of conduct, and of course, be dressed within the dress code. You need to contribute to helping create social media content. All state officers help do this. And follow a program of work, assignment, deadlines, and how work around with your team, your state officer team. Submit a monthly report, which kind of outlines how you've grown as a leader within the month and things that you have done to do so. And also conduct chapter visits.
So just some eligibility requirements that come with running for state office. The first thing that you have to have is a GP GPA of over 2.5 on a 4.0 scale. You must also attend SBLC from the 21st to the 24th of April. If you are running for middle school vice president, you must be entering either 7th grade or 8th grade. And then there are also additional requirements for middle school VP, which are in the candidate guide. All other positions, you must be entering 9th to 12th grade. If you're running for the state parliamentarian, then you must take the 100-question parliamentarian exam during SBLC. And then if you're running for executive vice president, if you do get elected to that position, you must also run for national office. It is also recommended that you have held a chapter officer position, but this is not a requirement, but we do like to see this in our potential candidates.
Okay, so there's 3 steps to applying, especially for the elected positions. There's the campaigning, interview, and materials. So for industry relations and parliamentarians, as they are appointed positions, there's no in-person campaigning, and the parliamentarian does include a objective test. And then everyone has a written questionnaire, which has a 500-word limit per question. For interviews, you would do this with 2 or 3 current state officers, the state officer coaches, the executive director, and a regional advisor. And rubrics for this are already released in the candidate guide, so I recommend looking at that before your interview because I know for me that helped a lot and it helped me prepare for that. And then in-person campaigning, this would be for the elected positions, so any of the region vice presidents or the executive officers, president, exec VP, secretary, etc. And you would have a campaign booth and materials, and you have a $500 campaign spending limit for that. And you'll be sending a financial statement, and more details on that are in the candidate guide and will also be discussed later in the candidate briefing.
So if you read the candidate briefing guide, you must have noticed that there were supplemental materials that you needed to submit as well. So there are 3 different things that you'll need to submit. One is a picture of your campaign booth, and this does not have to include everything, but it must include the general setup and mostly everything that's going to be in your final campaign booth, including things that you're going to hand out, ribbons, etc. And also a financial statement that outlines what you've purchased, what's been donated to you, and how you're also the revenue and how you're getting that money. And finally, the intended speech that you plan to speak at either in front of the whole Washington FBLA or your specific region. So you need a written version for that and also the spoken version that you will speak out loud.
Yeah, and just to add on about the revenue part, if you don't have a job, it's totally okay. You don't have to put your income. You can just say my parents or something like that along the lines of where it asks for the revenue and stuff. So.
And then there's going to be a lot of things to keep track of. So here's some do's and don'ts. Make sure to spend a lot of time on the application. It's how we'll get to know you. So make sure to spend a lot of time on that and get the required signatures well before the deadline. You really don't want to be rushing the application process, especially like a week before the deadline. You may also make sure to look through the candidate guide before messaging state management. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of resources that have been really helpful for a lot of us. So make sure to look through it well. And also keep your social media presence clean, positive, and professional. You're going to be representing Washington FBLA, so we want to make sure that you're already representing Washington FBLA well. And also, don't campaign prior to the campaign period at SBLC. This includes stating that you're running for a position on social media or asking people to vote for you, and also passing out campaign material before the campaigning period. This also includes your social media, and please do not include your social media on any campaign materials.
And in terms of the selection process, this is a pie chart that goes for the elected positions. So 25% application materials. This is like the written portion, and it's looked at over by state people. And we also have the interview, which happens after you're confirmed as a candidate and you schedule something to meet with people from the elections committee and state management. And finally, the elections part, which happens in person at SBLC. So make sure your chapters show up and vote for that.
Here are a few examples of some campaign booths that have been put up in the past. It is very important that you put a lot of time and effort into your campaign booth as it does make up the majority of how you are elected into office. If you've been to SBLC in the past and you want some examples, just try to think back of some times that you may have gone and talked to previous candidates and what you liked and didn't like about their booths, as well as all of these examples are, I'm pretty sure, in the candidate guide. So if you want to look back at them, just go into the candidate guide and you can get some inspiration there.
Here's some upcoming days that you need to be mindful of, and most of these are required, so it's very important that you keep track of the dates in your calendar. And all of these are outlined in the candidate guide, so as we have been saying, it's very important that you look at that and reference that as you're applying.
All right, so if you have any specific questions, we will now be doing breakout rooms. So if you're planning to run for president, executive vice president, or secretary room, join breakout room number 1. And if you're planning to run for parliamentarian, industry relations, public relations, or the middle school rep, join breakout room number 2. And finally, if you want to run for any of the region vice president positions, please join breakout room number 3.
The question part of this for general questions, um, if you guys didn't get to ask anything in your breakout rooms, feel free to stay behind right now. But for today, that's all we have for you. If you have any position specific questions or anything in general that might be a little bit personal and you don't want to say it out loud, you can always email elections@wafbla.org and we'll take emails from there. But you can also ask us individually as people on the elections committee for help and guidance throughout your process. We can't really endorse you or give you too much of an upper hand in the election, but we're always here to guide you through some like technical questions. But yeah, thank you all for being here. This is all we have for you, but feel free to stay behind and ask us any questions. You can drop them in the chat too. So yeah, thank you guys so much.